Our we're back, of course, talking Final Fantasy. We're talking Magic the Gathering. We are just a TCG channel at this point. We're, of course, looking at the little bit of info we got about this collab that's dropping next year. We do learn a decent amount about the upcoming set in terms of like a release date for one, but also some of the games that will be represented, some of the characters, they specifically named some, and also some like monsters, summons, legendary weapons apparently, and also we do get a sneak peek at some of the artwork. So they did drop a 3-minute video on Twitter with Shoichi Ichikawa, who is a producer on the Final Fantasy series with Square Enix, of course, and then Zakil Gordon, who is a product architect for Wizards of the Coast. Wizards of the Coast, of course, are the people or company, whatever, that make Magic the Gathering. So the video itself is pretty cool because they do give us a decent amount of info here. They do mention that there will be representation from Final Fantasy 1 all the way to Final Fantasy 16. So if you are a fan of any particular Final Fantasy, if any particular numbered entry is your favorite, it'll be represented. One thing that I was kind of hoping for, and to a certain degree expecting, because if you're going to do a collaboration with Final Fantasy, you should represent all the games, from the first Final Fantasy game all the way to 16, right? I don't know if you do anything with the spin-offs and the sequels and whatever, all that shit, but definitely at least represent each of the numbered entries, and it looks like that's going to be the case. Which I think is obviously the best way to show love to the franchise, but also, like, for the fans, right? Maybe somebody's favorite Final Fantasy is Final Fantasy 5, right? And, like, if that wasn't represented, it's like, I don't want to buy the set. My favorite game's not in this set. Why do I want to buy any of these cards at all? But to what degree each and every numbered entry will be represented in the set, I don't entirely know, of course. I imagine they're more popular ones, like 7 and 10, would maybe get more love than others. 14, of course. 14 is very, very popular. I could see that getting a lot of cards as well. They talk about how with Final Fantasy, like the stories and characters and worlds are great for a collaboration with something like Magic the Gathering, which is true and does make sense. They do go on to confirm certain characters like Terra, Lightning, Noctis, and of course the boy Cloud Strife. I mean, that's a gimme. You didn't have to even confirm that one. They also go on to confirm some other shit like summons, monsters, and also legendary weapons. So when it comes to the summons, I would expect like the bare minimum, like basics, the most iconic summons in the series, like Ifrit, Shiva, Leviathan, Rama, Bahamut, the ones you see in a lot of the Final Fantasy games. One of the most popular summons in the franchise. I don't know what you do. I don't know which games you pull from. Also, like if you're doing an Ifrit, do you only do one Ifrit card? And if you do one Ifrit card, which game do you pull that from? What's the most iconic Ifrit, right? Like, I don't entirely know. What do you do with that? Or do you do multiple Ifrit cards from different games? Same thing with Bahamut, right? Bahamut's very, very iconic. Like, maybe one of the most popular summons in the entire franchise, right? He's generally, like, the strongest or one of the strongest summons in, like, every Final Fantasy game that he's in, right? But what do you do? Do you do one Bahamut card? Do you do multiple Bahamut cards? Also, when it comes to summons, a lot of the Final Fantasy games have their own exclusive summons, like Knights of the Round from FF7, or my favorite summon of all time, Anima, from Final Fantasy X, who I'm just going to throw it out there. I fucking hope that gets a card, dude. Holy shit. I don't give a fuck what else they do with FF10. I want some of the characters and stuff like that, of course, but there needs to be an Anima card. It's my favorite summon of all time. As for monsters, of course, I'd expect like the bare minimum here. You know, Cactuars, Tonberries, Marlboros, things that you see in pretty much every Final Fantasy game. Now, where they go beyond that, I don't know. Again, it depends on what they do for each and every numbered entry. I mentioned legendary weapons, so you can expect things like the Buster Sword. I also mentioned like other characters like Noctis and Lightning, so maybe you can expect like the Engine Blade or the Blaze Fire Saber. Maybe they go into some of their other weapons as well. I don't know. Obviously, a shitload of iconic weapons from the Final Fantasy series, so there's a shitload of different ways they could go with this. Titus's Brotherhood from 10 or Sephiroth's Masamune from FF7. They do also confirm Chocobos and Behemoths. They also confirm this will be the largest collection of Final Fantasy artwork across a single game ever, which is pretty interesting. I'm a little kind of confused on that just because, like, when you think about how much artwork goes into, like, developing a game, right? Like, how many different variations of a character's art and monsters and weapons and locations and whatever. It's like, it seems like a kind of a bold claim. I don't know how big the set is, I guess. It is drawing from, 35 plus years of Final Fantasy, 16 different games. Maybe if they're doing a shit ton of different things for each and every game, maybe there's a fuck ton of cards. I don't know how big the set is exactly. They do also say that they'll be using the Magic the Gathering artists as well as some of the legendary Final Fantasy artists, and also that there will be like brand new breathtaking pieces made specifically for the set, whatever that means. That's pretty exciting because they do mention, legendary artists from the Final Fantasy series, so I'd imagine like Amano and Nomura, of course. But they also mentioned that there's going to be like the Magic the Gathering artists too, which is pretty good because like Magic has some really sick artwork for their cards. So getting to see like their interpretation of like the Final Fantasy characters and monsters and whatever would be pretty cool. And kind of last up here before we get to the card arts that they show at the end of the video is the release date, which is June 13th of next year, which gives us just a little under 8 months until the shit drops. As for the cards that we get to see Kefka again, which we got the sneak peek of yesterday. They then show us Lightning from Final Fantasy 13. We get to see a Moogle that I believe is from Final Fantasy 14. They then show us Titus and Yuna kissing, which is pretty cool. Then they give us Emmett or Emmet Selch, whatever his name is exactly, from Final Fantasy 14 as well. And then they end it with, of course, the boy Sephiroth hitting Hell's Gate, so there's a dead Aerith underneath him somewhere. I'm aware, that's kind of everything right now. I haven't seen anything else like tweeted out from the Magic the Gathering account. I haven't seen the Final Fantasy account, drop anything else. I don't know if there's any other like sneak peeks or anything like that. The couple of bits of artwork that we got are pretty good though. Like they show kind of what you expected, right? Something from FF7, something from FF10, a couple of things from FF14. They also show Lightning, which is cool. I mean, 13's popular. Lightning's a popular character. I don't even dislike Lightning. I like a lot of the characters in 13. It's just the game itself, I'm just not super a fan of. I think that's where we'll kind of leave the video here. When there's any sort of updates in the future, we'll talk about it. If they give us like sneak peeks or show off a lot of the cards in this set, or just maybe they drip feed us cards here and there over the next like 8 months, we'll definitely make some sort of videos about that shit at some point. I'll be honest, man, I'm pretty excited about this. Like I said before in like yesterday's video, I haven't played Magic the Gathering in a very long time, but if I can build me like a Final Fantasy themed deck, this might get me back into playing Magic the Gathering in some capacity, probably at like a very, very casual level. I don't even know if like the Final Fantasy cards will be competitive. I don't know what the fucking meta is, and there's, I think, different kinds of like ways you can play, like different kind of formats in Magic the Gathering. So maybe there's a way that I can play this in some way that's like fun. I don't know. Maybe it's play locally with the boys or something. I don't know exactly, but I'll definitely be buying a bunch of Final Fantasy cards. I wonder if there'll be enough cards from any given game to build a full deck. Like, could I do like a whole FF7 themed deck? They're pretty fucking cool. I know when it comes to these like collabs, I think they're usually like a set where you just buy a bunch of like booster packs and pull cards or whatever. But I'm kind of curious if they do like maybe like structure decks. I know there's like Commander's very, very popular in Magic because my friends play it. I don't know if they did that with like the past crossovers like Fallout and all that other shit that they've done. It'd be kind of cool if they did that, like pre-built Final Fantasy decks that you can just buy and instantly play with, because that'd be perfect. There's some people out there that watch the videos that do play Magic the Gathering, so you guys can let me know if they've done that before in the past. Anyways, that's the video. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. System works in the description below. Follow me on Twitter, @DaveYT. That's it. Bye.
Used to care what people thought, but now I care more, and nobody out here's got it figured out. So therefore I've lost all hope of a happy ending, depending on whether or not it's worth it. So insecure, no one's perfect, we spend it with no shame. We blow that like Coltrane, we in here like Logain, or leave it like Cobain.